John, you want to do an opening statement, or you just want to go straight into questions?
Straight into questions.
All right, here we go. Josh?
John, welcome to the big chair. How, I don't think we've spoken, or at least I haven't spoken with you since you kind of got that new title. What is that? Has that really changed your job at all, or is it just more of is that kind of a formality thing to some degree?
Yeah, no real change in what we're doing day in, day out. Maybe, just kind of something from Coach Stoops, giving Klink and myself just formal titles of things we've already probably really been doing in title. All of our jobs is to assist Brad in every way possible while he coordinates the defense, and then coach our position group day in, day out, and have a view of our area of expertise that we're trying to help in regards to seeing the defensive stuff, big picture. And so really just a title, no real job description change, no more work, no less work, same work. But something I'm grateful for, Coach Klink's grateful for Coach Stoops, giving us that acknowledgement of what we have been doing and kind of continue to do here. But all of our jobs is to, help contribute and make our defense be the best it can be, and help Brad in any way we can be the best he can be as a coordinator too.
John, we've heard some good things about De'Aaron Jackson this spring. I'm curious, just what have you seen from him and the other kind of guys competing for that middle linebacker spot?
Yeah, it's a great question. De'Aaron came here to camp my first year here, and slept in the parking lot outside of Gate 1 overnight before the camp, and then and showed up and worked out at the camp after sleeping in a car driving from South Georgia with his dad, and really performed well at the camp. And that's kind of when we decided to go all in, and he was going to be our guy we signed in that class. And De'Aaron's working really hard. He's a kid that loves football, likes to practice, comes up, spends extra time studying. He's doing some really good things. Those guys, the development in the spring is so much fun because you get to see each guy individually develop. But De'Aaron's doing a nice job. Luke Fulton's doing a nice job. A lot of guys in that group really working to improve their craft individually. And then, as we go through this, we'll figure out how the rotation looks once the season draws closer. And those guys understand right now is their time to really make their mark, because when we get to fall practice, we've got a couple of freshman guys coming in, and we're gonna give them their shot for 15 practices or so, and then figure out what gives us the best chance to compete to win.
You mentioned those camps. How important is it to get those back in June, not only from a visit standpoint, but also to evaluate?
Yeah, I think the hardest part right now is in this recruiting stuff with COVID, losing the in-person evaluation makes it much more challenging. Losing the opportunity to go watch a high school kid practice on their turf, or have them come to your camp and work them out and do drills that help you identify how they would fit within your scheme or your system, and athletically what their strengths and weaknesses are. Watching a kid practice at his high school, you get to see not only talent, but you get to see leadership qualities, the intangibles of how they interact and communicate with their teammates and coaches. So the in-person eval as a whole is very important. Obviously, we've missed out on that the last year. Would be very grateful to have that opportunity again this summer to get some guys on campus. Visit-wise is important, but also the evaluation piece is very important. And those camps a lot of times help you push you over the edge on a guy on making a decision on whether he's the guy you want in your program, because you get to spend time with him and know him and work him out and spend some time just with that individual person.
Adam?
Hey, John, Adam Luck at KSR. Just wanted to ask about Jared Casey. I know he made that transition inside last year. How's he progressing this spring? Is he a guy that you could see playing both the Mike and Will in the defense?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Jared has really grown a lot. Like the vision lines, what you have to see with your eyes playing inside linebacker, and then the level you have to communicate at are probably very undersold or understated a lot of times, because you've got to play with great eyes, you got to be a communicator, and Jared has grown a ton in both of those areas. Jared's a really, really intelligent kid. We did an academic meeting yesterday. He's got straight A's. I mean, the guy does a great job in school. He's got some intelligence. Learning the position, it's a lot. Like our defense, what we do to play inside linebacker, we put a lot on those guys mentally, and they have to think at a high level, and so it's more than just a physical game. It's a mental game for those guys as well. And Jared's made a lot of great strides. He's not. You're never going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but I'm really excited to see his growth. He right now is, he's practicing primarily at will. We'll work him some at Mike depending on situations that we see fit. We do like to cross-train guys as much as possible. The one thing we have to sometimes be careful of is cross-training guys prematurely when they're not ready and it confusing them. Because while there are some similarities between the Mike and the Will, there are also some very distinct differences in what those guys do job description-wise. And so, but I'm excited about Jared. I really, as a kid, he's a great guy to coach. He's a great young man. He's working hard. He's invested time into his craft way more over the last year than he did probably when he first got here in regards to just coming up here. That's the most fun part about our group right now, in my opinion. Not led by me, led by DeAndre Square. I don't have to ask those guys, come in and do extra and watch more film. I'll walk down the hall and look in a meeting room, and Square will have the whole position group watching practice before I even watch it with them. And so, and they'll all be huddled up around a computer or projector or whatever it is. And that's when, coaching's fun, is when you got guys that are excited about growing. And Jared's in that phase right now where he's embracing what it takes to grow and improve himself individually.
Larry?
Hey, John, you mentioned about some of the young guys that'll be coming in. Could you specifically talk about Wallace and how hard or how easy it was to recruit him and what you like about him so much?
The hard part of recruiting him was he was highly sought after. He's a kid that had a lot of attention, really picked up steam during his senior year in recruiting. And at the end, we were battling a lot of traditional SEC powers to get him to come here. There's so many things to like about the young man. When you watch his video, it's very easy to identify what makes him unique athletically. His last game in high school as a running back, he ran for 370-something yards. He also played linebacker and had like 9 or 10 tackles in that game. So very talented athlete. He just won the 5A state championship in powerlifting about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And right now I think he's got either the best or second best long jump in the state of Georgia on record this year. He just broke Lindsey Scott's record, who played at Georgia, went to the same high school. He just broke Lindsey Scott's long jump record. So he's got elite athletic tools, kid that has got a great personality, and he's highly intelligent. He's a great communicator. Kid loves ball. He's a great human being, down home kind of country kid. But I'll FaceTime with him a lot, and you never know, he's going to be riding a horse or a four-wheeler or whatever. But he's a guy we're excited about and really have big plans for, and look forward to getting him here in the fall and really in the summer, and kind of figuring out where does he fit, how much is he ready for to help us at the linebacker position in our defense. And then the other guy we got coming in that a lot of people I think are maybe overlooked because of Trevin's hype is Martez Thrower. Martez is in his own right a very talented young man and is a very physical player. Martez strikes people with bad intentions. His high school career, his coach every couple weeks be sending me a picture of a face mask that got broken because he was hitting so hard. So both those kids we're excited about and what they can do when they get here. Sometimes you got to temper your enthusiasm because they are going to be freshmen, and there's a lot of growing pains that come along with being a freshman. But excited about both those guys. They're eager to get here and think they both have very bright futures.
All right, we got time for a few more. We've got John Wong, John Clay, John Hale, and then we'll finish with Dick.
John, you were talking about academics, and if I remember, you were pretty hot shot yourself when you played here. How do those classroom smarts translate over onto the football field in your mind?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I appreciate you recognizing my overachievement because I'm not real intelligent. I tell the guys in my meeting room all the time that they're way smarter than their coach, and if I can figure all this out, then they can figure it out. There is a transition of being able to answer the question the right way in a meeting room setting, and then go out on the field and actually activate what your knowledge is. Knowledge. I tell guys all the time, knowledge equals confidence, and when you have confidence, you can play fast. So you have to learn it in a meeting room setting or through walkthroughs or different areas. But then you have to be able to react. That's the thing that's, different on defense and offense is it's a reactionary game for us. It's not our football. We don't get to decide what formation the offense gets in. We got to react to what they do a little bit. Now, we like to try to dictate things to the offense on our terms some and create some issues for them. But those guys have to understand just knowing it, then you have to actually go do it. And that's a process. It really is. It takes time. It takes reps. And so you can know the answer in a classroom setting, but actually going out and activating it and doing it is a totally separate thing. But those guys are handling it well, and they're really growing in that area.
John Clay.
John, you mentioned Luke Fulton earlier. How's he coming along, and what does he bring to the table for you?
Yeah, Luke's a big, physical, very impressive kid when you see him in person. I mean, he's got strength, he's got size, he likes to play the game. He's an intelligent kid. Obviously, been through some college football, so has some experience, not necessarily high-level game experience, but has at least been in a college football environment. Excited to see his continued growth. He's a smart kid, tough. Really, think it's going to be fun to watch his development. And as he grows and continues to come on, think he can do a lot of things productive in this program and has a good upside. So really looking forward to watching him continue to grow.
John Hale.
John, as Jamin's NFL draft stock really blows up, what does that do for the guys in your room in terms of motivating them, that example that's out there, as they can look at a guy they were just practicing with a couple months ago and see where he's at now?
Yeah, it's been fun. Jamin went about his work the right way every day the last couple of years. Through maybe in the 2019 season, things not going, we had some big plans for him and how we were going to use him, and things maybe not going quite as smooth the first part of that year as we had all hoped for him, and not maybe having the kind of year we thought he was going to have in 19 as fast. The back half of the 19 year, he started to come on and become more productive. And then, I describe it to people a lot with Jamin as it's like the fire took a little while to get started, but now he started pouring gasoline on it, and that thing's out of control. Once that thing got going for him, he's really seen a lot of success. He kept working hard. He didn't have a bad day. He didn't whine or complain when things weren't going his way. He kept showing up and working his tail off. And if you do that over time, good things happen. Like going back to what we talked about earlier, you don't just walk in the door a lot of times as an inside linebacker because of the amount you have to learn and understand ready to play. You have to grow into that role. And he did a great job. Those guys, it's a great example. He didn't come in as a freshman or a sophomore just start all of a sudden. He had to put in his time and develop and work. And it's a great example of what our weight room guys do, Coach Ed and Coach Hill and those guys, with developing a kid physically too, because he came here and he was like 196 pounds, and now he's as good a looking dude as you're going to find on a football field. And he's athletic and moves great, obviously, you could tell by pro day. I mean, you could always tell that on video, but those numbers he put on pro day were impressive. So it's a great example for all the guys in our room, but really for all the guys in our team of – you just keep putting your head down, going to work, have a great attitude, embrace the process of getting better every day, and good things happen.
All right, we'll go Dick, and then Jeff Drummond, and we'll wrap up.
Hey, John, you were just to follow up on your comments about the pandemic and recruiting, how it affected you. I got to think, obviously, it limited your opportunities to see how a kid interacts in the home with his family. And I know a lot of coaches put a lot of stock in that. Where are you all on that kind of thing?
You know, that's a great question. We like to evaluate the whole person. And so obviously the athlete is a critical piece. There's a threshold that you have to be able to meet to play football in the SEC. So that's a football piece. But then you're evaluating the student. You know, what is their ability or capability? What is their determination and drive? And what is their willingness to do work? And then you also want guys in the locker room that are going to add value to the culture of the program. You're looking for guys that are self-motivated, that are excited about football, that love football, that want to be great people. And so a lot of times in the in-home setting, you do get to evaluate, how does a young man speak to his mom? You know, that matters. I talk to our guys all the time about how you do anything is how you do everything. And so I think how you talk to a person, how you look them in the eye, how you walk into a room matters. And so we're working through some of that stuff in evaluation. You're having to maybe make more phone calls to different people to gather more information on what is a young man all about. You know, what's not just as a player but as a person. So there is some stones we're having to turn over in different ways to maybe gather some of that information that looks a little different than the way we've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Hey, John, I was wondering, with the numbers that you have this spring, has it been a challenge or maybe kind of a test for those guys to see where their, conditioning, stamina is and kind of playing off of that? Can the extra reps that maybe a guy like Jackson or Casey gets as a result of it really help their development?
Yeah, they're all getting a lot of reps. And we're not ridiculously deep right now through spring at inside linebacker in regards to scholarship players. We do have some walk-on guys. William Nolte today made an outstanding couple plays at practice and has added a lot of value to our team and really our position group. So there's some walk-on guys that are in the mix too that help us get through practice and do a nice job. But it's good for those guys too. Those, De'Eric and Jared, as you mentioned, they're getting plenty of reps. We're not having to worry about at the end of spring, do we get those guys enough pictures and enough reps and enough work to help them develop. So we're getting plenty of reps. We're getting the work we need. And we also got some guys, that are quality walk-ons that are able to help contribute and step up and fill in on some reps when we need maybe a guy that is not a scholarship player.
All right. Thanks, John.